Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of the Southampton Town Board to order on this 13th day of October 2020. Please rise if you're able and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's remain standing and join together in a brief moment of silence as we consider this pandemic and the toll on lives that it has had. Now, I think 215,000 Americans and I think over 1 million worldwide fatalities. Really just incredible. I guess we're now in the 7th month of this pandemic, and we still need to be vigilant in keeping our distance and our mask wearing up so that we don't see a resurgence that other areas seem to be having. So let's take a moment to remember all the lives lost and all the illness that has resulted from this pandemic. And also let's keep in our thoughts and prayers all of the brave men and women of our armed services who defend our freedoms at home and around the world every day. So let's pause in silence together. Thank you. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Schneiderman,
Present.
Councilwoman Lofstad,
Here.
Councilman Martell,
Present.
Councilman Bouvier,
Here.
Councilman Scavone.
Present.
All right, thank you. All right. Can we get these walk-ons added to the agenda? There are two. There's 34792, which is warrant number 19, and 34793 authorizes the supervisor to sign an amendment to agreement with Munistat Services. I'd like to make a motion to walk those two on.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, so we'll take those up at the end. All right, so first is the approval of the minutes from prior meetings, regular town board meeting of September 22nd, 2020. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Secondly, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special town board meeting of September 24th.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. And lastly, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special town board meeting of October 1st, 2020.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, we have received some communications. I'll ask our clerk to go through what we've got.
The following communications had been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from Empire State Development regarding a public comment period for Southampton Arts Center capital project on Jobs Lane in Southampton. Town of Southold, public hearing notice, local law enactment from the Village of West Hampton Beach, 2 emergency order filings. New York State liquor license 30-day advance notice to municipalities by the listed entity. And from the town fire districts, we have received the proposed 2021 district budgets from Bridgehampton, Eastport, Flanders, Hampton Bays, North Sea, Riverhead, Southampton, and West Hampton Beach. We have also received 2021 budget hearing notices for October 20th, 20 from East Quogue, Eastport, Flanders, Hampton Bays, North Sea, Riverhead, Southampton, and West Hampton Beach. The times are all listed in the agenda. Financial disclosure statements from the listed individuals and letters, emails, and land use applications regarding the following: proposed Star Aquatic Facility on McGee Street, Southampton, Franca support of land acquisition for Riverside Park expansion, Conservation Board wetlands permit application for Cow Neck Preserve, North Sea Road in North Sea, and Zoning Board of Appeals applications in Cold Spring Point Road, Tuckahoe, and Sunning Hill Road, North Sea. Following bid openings took place on September 23rd for the Southampton Animal Shelter rooftop access ladder, demolition at 20 Larboard Road in Hampton Bays on September 30th, disposal and recycling services for mixed paper and corrugated cardboard on September 30th, and also on September 30th, self-contained ejector trailer with hydraulic roof opening. On October 8th, there was an RFP for engineering report for sewage treatment plant within Hampton Bays DOD. The following report was filed from the Landmarks and Historic Districts Board for a certificate of appropriateness for the Liaison Hat Shop on Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
All right, thank you, Cindy. Okay, we only have one public hearing, which we'll do first, and then we'll go to public portion. I know a number of you are here for public portion. So we'll go to that first and only public hearing. Madam Clerk, would you read the notice?
Public hearing number 1, to consider to accept a grant of conservation easement from Big Sky LLC for property to be maintained as open space located at North Sea pursuant to Southampton Town Code, Section 244-4, obtaining a development rights certificate, and Section 247, General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Thank you, Cindy, and Dave Wilcox, our Planning Director, will introduce us.
Good afternoon, Town Board and Supervisor. I gave out 2 handouts for this public hearing. If you look at the colored aerial photograph first, I'm going to be reading from that. So the subject property, it's shaded in purple on that aerial. It's also outlined in black. It consists of portions of abandoned roads that are part of tax parcel 964, Block 1, Lot 111.2. The tax parcel, as the town clerk mentioned, is owned by Big Sky LLC. The area of the abandoned roads in purple is 8,752.25 square feet, or roughly 0.2 acres. Property is located in the CR 200 zoning district at North Sea. Property has a development right allocation of .0437712 development rights, based on the allocation formulas that are in the Town Code, Chapter 244. Probably wonder, why do we carry it out that many decimal points? When you're using old file maps or using development rights for old file maps, every square foot counts towards that development right. So that right is eventually translated to a square foot calculation. So we don't want to cut anybody short on their square footage. The property is also located in the following overlay districts in critical environmental areas: the Old File Map Overlay District, the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, County Special Groundwater Protection Critical Area, and the CPF Priority Acquisition Area. The remainder of the tax parcel that's outlined in red on that aerial had its development rights removed by a 2006 Planning Board approval of a transfer of development right declaration, which effectively took the rights off of everything that's outside of the purple and put a declaration, a covenant declaration on that property. So it's only now that they've decided to abandon the roads in between those properties, and based on the old file map regulations, they are entitled to development rights from abandoned roads. So this easement will only cover the abandoned road portions of this tax parcel. If you go to this handout with the tax maps, you can see the old file map lots and the area of the road that's being abandoned in yellow, and the area in green has already been protected and development rights removed. So we're only giving development rights on the yellow portion of the abandoned roads. If you go to the back side of the aerial photograph, and I'm sorry the red line bled through, but you can see that there's a significant area of already protected and public land in the area. In fact, there's 155 acres of contiguous open space, either owned by the county, the town, or with conservation easements. There's actually much more open space in that surrounding area, but I just looked at the contiguous acreage. In that area, there's probably close to 300 or 400 acres of preserved land. So the abandonment of these roads and the issuance of development rights will augment 155 acres of existing open space.
And Big Sky LLC is the owner of the road?
Big Sky LLC owns the road and the green lots on this map. But there's conservation easement on those parcels already. That was done in 2006 when the planning board transferred the development rights off of the green parcels.
And no one uses this road for access? There's no pedestrian rights of way or anything like that?
That's correct. And this area is not designated by the planning board as a developable area. These old file map lots can only be used as sending parcels.
And you sure when the original acquisition of development rights was made, the one that was transferred rather, that they didn't account for the square footage of the road?
That's been confirmed. They did not take that.
Have we done this before? Are we going to start seeing lots of these old abandoned roads now coming in front of us?
Well, usually it's done at the time that we issue the certificate on the parcels, but because this was done, 14 years ago as a TDR declaration, which is kind of the old way that the town does the development rights now, I don't think there are going to be many of these.
Are they ending up with more because of doing this in a two-step process?
No, nope. It's all based on square footage. Had they come in
I
2006?
know, but sometimes there's like thresholds. You meet one threshold versus another if you...
In the Pine Barrens, yes, but that doesn't apply in old file maps. Nope.
Okay. Any other questions? I know this is pretty technical stuff, but, all right, thank you, Dave.
All
Is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on this public hearing? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's it for public hearings. We'll go to public portion. I haven't seen a list yet of the speakers. Janice, do you want to see if you can track that down? Let me just lay out some ground rules. We typically afford each speaker 3 minutes to make their comments known. If you're running out of time, the clerk will let you know when you're down to your last 30 seconds. You don't have to use all 3 minutes if you don't need to. So we're going to try to take the names in the order that we received them. Here we go. All right, first on the list, Jay Andriassi from Waterloo. When you come up to the podium, I ask also that you identify yourself, even though I've just said your name, just for our record, that you've identified yourself as such.
Supervisor Schneiderman, members of the town board, community leaders, and our residents. I'm Jay Andriassi, founding member of SYS, Southampton Youth Services. Approximately 40 years ago, I relocated to the East End. My interest in coaching sports for our youth made me evaluate existing athletic facilities. Our schools had indoor facilities, but were not committed to allow non-school-oriented groups to use school gym space for sports programs. There were some minor exceptions. We had a super outdoor facility at Red Creek. I soon realized that we had no indoor space during inclement weather and off-season use. I started coaching soccer and Little League, baseball, softball, and setting up an educational program for students to learn about personal hygiene, CPR, the value of the dollar, and important daily things not always taught in a classroom. For indoor space, we used a tiny gym on the second floor Sacred Hearts Church School, a classroom and gym at Tuckahoe School, and Watermill Community Building. Other coaches were using garages, warehouse space, and with special exceptions, school gyms. After graduating college, I worked for the New York State Senate and had a good relationship with Islip Town's Commission of Parks and Recreation. The Islip Recreation Department was fully staffed with multiple indoor facilities all around the town. I assumed every town had a recreation center. I asked Southampton residents, officials, educators, and coaches why there were no indoor facilities for our community. The answer was never clear. I got involved with STAR back then, knowing that this pool complex proposed at Red Creek could evolve into indoor space for all activities, but would be difficult for many East End residents to commute to. The referendum in 1998 to build a pool facility at Red Creek was defeated by voters. I believe our supervisor, Vince Canunzio, who did not support the pool project, realized that our community needed indoor activity space. Unfortunately, the pool project was put on hold, but SYS, Southampton Youth Services, was born to evaluate the possibility of a new indoor complex. In a few months following the defeat of the pool referendum, we sat down with Supervisor Canunzio to plan out a public-private partnership to keep the construction and operating costs low. Our group of coaches set up SYS as a not-for-profit, with board members picked based on their professional talent. As a result, we received approval by the town in record time. The public-private relationship was formulated and accepted by all. The public-private process allowed SYS to raise private funds for the project design and construction, as well as utilization in-kind services by local businesses. SYS also needed to raise operating funds. BNB assisted with special interest loans, allowing completion of the project. Community philanthropists via naming opportunities, as George and Annette Benedict took the repayment of loans off our shoulders, allowing funds raised to go to our programs, not loan interest payments. SYS was granted a 99-year management agreement with the town. Town of Southampton identified town-owned property, designed and built the site work portion of the project, and assisted with some operating funds and building maintenance. Phase 1 consisted of a 30,000 square foot indoor facility accommodating most sports and indoor community track, as well as an after-school town program. After 20-plus years, SYS stands strong, accommodating thousands of students, family members, and adults. Most sports can be enjoyed within the facility. I can attest to the fact that this public-private process was well-planned and developed, with all parties understanding and appreciating its value and success. In my opinion, it is time for our town to assist STAR in developing and operating a community pool. The location proposed is geographically accommodating for our community. The traffic card is
30
sometimes...
seconds.
The traffic card is sometimes used by residents not understanding the benefits of a project of this type. To my knowledge, we never had traffic issues with SYS, a community of private pools, ponds, lakes, and beaches with a year-round community, doubled in population during seasonal times, possibly tripled during safe haven times of pandemic. Needs to reinforce proper swimming education, exercise, and competition for our community. Please consider the benefits of this project and be positive in working diligently to accept and approve what you as TAD board members will be proud of in generations to come. This project was worthy of approval 20 years ago and is long overdue. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Jay. Yeah, just for the record, you referred to Red Creek as having a referendum for a pool that was denied. Actually, it wasn't Red Creek, it was in West Hampton, I believe, not in Hampton Bays, where that pool was proposed. That was the Shark.
I apologize, it's a long time ago, and I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
It's okay. And, we have considered Red Creek for a pool as well, so I just want to make that clarification. But thank you, and thank you for your work in making SYS actually happen. I noticed the street I drive in to it's called, I think, Andriassi Way.
Well, that was the town board that did that.
That wasn't you, but
wasn't me, no.
but it's
I don't
named
put my name on anything.
it's named after you. So we appreciate all you did to make that happen. So, all right, next, Terry Wildrick.
Supervisor Schneiderman and members of the town board, thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Star Aqua Center. I'm Terry Wildrick. I live in Hampton Bays. As a child, my saddest day of the year was Labor Day, when we had to go home. It's always been my dream to live here all year, and now I do. The only thing that I miss about my Westchester life is swimming with my team. Swimming's been an important part of my life since I first swam laps at a pool in a small town in Germany in 1973. Swimming with my team has been the best part of the day, whether in a pool in Westchester or this summer of COVID in Peconic Bay. I've lived where there are public pools, And where there are none, life is better with a pool. Southampton needs a pool where our children, men and women who earn their living from our waters, can learn to swim in safe, comfortable surroundings before venturing into open water. Lifeguards, EMTs, and ocean rescue teams will be able to train in Star Aqua Center. In the western part of Suffolk County, there are several public swimming pools, mostly in schools. Why has it taken so long for us to realize this need? Our students deserve the opportunity to learn to swim, not only for their safety, but also for the opportunities to compete and possibly earn scholarships. I can't emphasize enough that swimming is a sport for all ages. It provides not only enjoyment, but whole body exercise with cardiopulmonary benefits. Many adults return to swimming after injuries from other sports. With proper instruction, anyone can learn to swim, and it can have life-changing benefits. It occurs to me that all the pool drownings that I've heard of this year have been in backyard pools without lifeguards or safety inspections. Star Aqua Center will be staffed with qualified lifeguards and maintained to all safety standards. It is urgent that the board approve an aquatic facility under the designation of Parks and Recreation as an acceptable use for the CPF property at 344 McGee Street. The parcel is ideal in that it has already been cleared, has an existing buffer of indigenous trees. There will be room for parking and enough space for a beautiful facility. Let me address some misconceptions. The exact design for this project has not been completed. It would be imprudent to proceed to that step without having a definite location. We have estimates of the cost based on what the facility will include. We will build 2 pools, a competition pool and a warmer pool with lap lanes and some splash features for children. We're not asking for public funding for this capital project, although the benefit will be to all community members. Nobody likes to sit in traffic, and the users of this facility will learn the easiest times and routes to get there. It should be obvious to everyone that we're not trying to sneak something past the community, and that we will have to swim through all the hoops, reviews, and permits before we can bring this gift to the people.
30
There
seconds.
is no time to waste. To quote one of my swim teammates after swimming about a half mile, I wake up and everything aches. My back, my neck, my shoulders. Now, it's all gone. I feel great. Whether you're a swimmer or prefer other aquatic or dry land exercise, this facility will be for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay, next up, Richard Wingfield, always Junie to me, but we're staying formal today with Richard.
Thank you, Town Board, thank you, Jay. I really don't want to be here to script anything. I have 3 minutes. Anyone who knows me, that's not a long time.
Junie,
But I will
just
tell
state
you
your
this.
name.
I will tell you this,
State your name.
Richard Wingfield.
Thank you.
The first time I approached the Town Board about a swimming pool was 50 years ago. I want to say that the supervisor was Dode Hulse. I asked him at that time, can we create a swimming pool in the Youth Bureau? Of course, not much happened with that. Time goes on. Prior to that, I'm in the school board meeting. Our president is James Burnett. We had put together a beautiful architectural plan with the idea, if you see the gyms now, which are catacorny to one another, with the idea we would build an aquatic center for the schools and you could transfer from school to school with a pool. It was totally mentioned in a public meeting by a woman who owned this shop on Job's Lane named Nina Murray and constituents. That it's not a good idea for black children to swim with white children. That went down like a rock. Time goes on, we're still fighting for a pool. I'm here today speaking hot work because I'm appealing to your consciousness about doing the right thing. It's no longer a need for me to come and establish a need for swimming. The first child that died, and again, I'm 74 years old, so when I say it was 54, I was 24 years old coming home from Vietnam, and I was tired swimming in rice paddies because I couldn't swim there either. So I came home with the idea as I worked with this community, this beloved community, that I knew my town board would do the right thing. I'm still waiting for my town board to do the right thing as they've evolved into, I think, what is considered the most beloved and beautiful community in the world. So here we go. We're at a time now where what I'm here for is to say, I'm not arguing about traffic. Traffic has always been a problem. It was a problem when I didn't have buses, when I had to walk from Hillcrest to town. But you know what our town did? They created buses. It was a problem when we lost 2 kids who died from traffic on Sag Harbor Turnpike. They got killed. You know what my beautiful town did? They put in sidewalks. And I know what my beautiful town will do when we increase and better the quality of life for all of us here when we build that pool, is if there's an issue with traffic, they'll make sure everybody's safe. The same way they did for Bishop Pond. And I thought that was a great idea because I would choose Bishop Pond over a compost any day of my life. So I'm speaking to you from a place where I'm feeling very passionate today, but I'm also feeling very hurt, but that hurt makes me feel strong. Because it's 50 years that I've been fighting and fighting for a pool for all children. And we have seen how our community has changed. Our school system has 2/3 of its population on free and reduced lunches. Tuckahoe School, K through 8 has 276 kids. 50% are probably Latinos. I live at the end of that road. You make the left on Millstone Lane. I'm a taxpayer and a resident. So I also want people to know when I read articles in the paper about Tuckahoe residents, guess what? There are people on the north side and south side. And the first little black boy who died lived on North McGee Street. He was from Tuckahoe. He went to Tuckahoe School. So I get so upset when people get into this divisiveness about, oh, this is something that happens over here. There are dog whistles. And guess what happened with Red Creek? Barbara Council was trying to be re-elected for her second term. And you know how she got defeated? So when we're standing on different shores looking at the same sea, I want to tell you why, when I read in the paper, why not Red Creek? Because maybe it's comfortable for you who's never experienced it. For me, what I experienced when they sent that flyer out and said a vote for Barbara Gubbins is a vote for a pool, and they're coming from Riverhead, it went down, and she went down like bricks. Think about what we're saying here. So I said, we can get the politics out the game, and we can come to the moment of truth. Now, I really am always wondering when I read these credible articles, what are people trying to preserve? What are they really saying when they say traffic? Okay, we can handle that. Trust me, because this beloved community, and we've always had a strong town board, always find a way to do the right thing. And I want you all to think about that. It's not just about a pool. Do the right thing. I have more time behind me than I do in front of me. But we help a whole group of kids that's coming. And I think that hopefully, if God willing, someone will be able to actually come back here and live. And I don't want to hear anymore that we can't have affordable housing. How long have we been fighting for it? I don't want to hear that we can't have quality of life because we could have a pool. Do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
All right. All right, next up. Maria Greenlaw.
Hello again. Maria Greenlaw, currently serving as Vice President of Star Aquatics. I wanted to read a letter that we have received from Assemblyman Fred Thiel, just to clarify and sort of reiterate some issues that we have been coming up against regarding the CPF and the fact that this is a CPF piece of property on McGee Street that we're thinking of. Okay, starting with his words. The CPF is a funding mechanism to acquire lands for enumerated conservation purposes, including open space preservation, farmland preservation, parks and recreation purposes, and historic preservation purposes. There are no special rules for parkland acquired with CPF funds. Parkland is parkland and is subject to existing rules governing parkland. Under the public trust doctrine, parkland can neither be alienated to a non-park use, nor can it be transferred without the approval of the state legislature. In the case of the property on McGee Street, it was acquired by the town with CPF funds for park and recreation purposes. As such, it is subject to the public trust doctrine. Any use of CPF properties for non-CPF purposes or transfer of CPF land would require an act of the state legislature, approval of the town board, and a public referendum. Proposed changes of use of CPF lands from one permitted CPF use to another permitted CPF use is allowed, but a public hearing and approval of the town board to amend the CPF project plan would be required. Here, the use of the property for a swimming pool is a permitted CPF use because that use is a park and recreation purpose. That use of the property would not trigger a public trust doctrine because it is still a park use. A public hearing should be held even though there is no change in CPF use, quote-unquote, parks and recreation, because the use of the property for a swimming pool was not the use contemplated at the time it was acquired. In short, the use of the property for a swimming pool is permitted under CPF provisions allowing recreation. It is noted that CPF funds are only for land acquisition. CPF funds could not be used for construction, operation, or maintenance of any recreational facility, including a swimming pool. I am not aware of what the ownership arrangement would be between the town and the not-for-profit corporation proposing the pool. However, this is not governed by the CPF law, but also would be subject to the public trust doctrine regarding alienation. Any transfer of the property by a deed or lease could be construed to be an alienation of parkland requiring approval of the state legislature, town board approval, and public referendum. The project most similar to this proposal would be SYS. In the case of SYS,
30 seconds.
the town owned the property in North Sea that had been dedicated for park purposes. In summary, the use of parkland acquired with CPF funds for a swimming pool is permitted. However, a hearing and town board approval should be held first. Actual transfer of the property would raise legal issues regarding parkland alienation. However, a dedication of the facility to the town and an agreement to operate the facility for the town would not raise alienation issues. The town has entered into similar arrangements before, such as SYS. Regards, Assemblyman Fred Thiel. And just as a side note, I believe we have already had 3 public hearings regarding this. This not being the third. There's 3 passed, and it has been closed. So,
Do you want to submit that letter to
yes,
the
I
clerk?
did.
Okay.
I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy Roth?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Judy Roth, a member of the Star Board, and I live in North Sea. My husband and I have lived here for 21 years, and we make the trip to the East Hampton Y about 3 times a week in order to swim. That's about 30 miles round trip. And we often meet fellow Southamptonites from further west who also want the opportunity to exercise in water. The need for an indoor pool in Southampton is indisputable. The location on McGee Street is perfect. As Supervisor Schneiderman said at the last hearing, swimmers will unlikely swim at peak traffic times in the morning and afternoon. We'll learn quickly. And summer, when traffic is heaviest, many swimmers will be in open water at the bay, the ponds, and the oceans. Likewise, during the school year, bus traffic bringing students to the pool will also not conflict with commercial traffic. I'm a member of the Southampton Trails Preservation Society and on the maintenance team. We analyzed the McGee Street property, and it leads easily to the conclusion that this parcel is not suitable for a trail or viable, nor does it connect with any existing trails. Lastly, as past president of the League of Women Voters and co-chair of our Education Committee with prior speaker Terry Wildrick, I'd like to tell you about our Betty Desch Scholarship for Leadership and Civic Engagement. This scholarship draws applications from 25 to 30 students from all of our East End high schools. Students often write about how their participation in sports gives them the experience of mentoring, leadership, and competition. An East Hampton Hurricane team member who did apply for the scholarship wrote about how being the team captain of her team and encouraging her team members built her leadership skills. The coach of that team, Tom Cohill, echoed her points in supporting letter and also helped her to achieve a college scholarship by writing about her experience. What of the students of Southampton High School, Hampton Bays, and West Hampton Beach? Where are their opportunities to be on a swim team and perhaps gain a college scholarship for this popular team sport? I was touched by an entry I read on the Hampton Bays school website, where they have people from the Long Island Drowning Prevention Task Force come in and talk to elementary students about safe water practices, and they use puppets. We need an indoor aquatic center to help waterproof the students in Southampton towns with live water skills and not just puppets. I urge you to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Joy Flynn.
I'm Joy Flynn, Quag, Supervisor Schneiderman, and town board members. Thank you for allowing me to speak about the Star Aqua Center. I'm a Quag resident and a member of the Star Board. Swimming has been an important part of my life, not just for the fun of it, but for helping to develop a feeling of confidence that is translated to other aspects of my life. I have worked with 3 children for the past 10 years, whose family is not as privileged as many of us are in Southampton. Other than help them with their homework, I enrolled them at Safety Swim for 8 years of swimming lessons because I knew the physical and psychological benefits of swimming. To provide such an opportunity for Southampton children is one of the reasons I joined the Star Board. The McGee Street Central location is ideal. As the conservation chair of the West Hampton Garden Club, I can defend building on the land because it's already a disturbed parcel. No Pine Barrens land has to be cleared, as at Red Creek. I hope that you will vote in favor of adding aquatic center to the current definition of parks and recreation. Thank you for considering our request.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Okay, next up is Francis Genovese.
My name is Frances Genovese, and I think it's always expedient to distinguish between individual want and community need. I have a feeling that's being blurred here. There are a lot of individuals, most of whom, I might say all of whom, don't live near the site that they're recommending. This last woman is from Quogue, I believe. But I'm not here to speak about that today. What I'm here to speak about is after you closed the public hearing on whether you're going to amend the CPF classification, certain things have arisen. One of which was at a presentation by STAR, both on Zoom and in person, that was held in this room for the benefit of the Southampton Tuckahoe CAC. Questions were put to the president of STAR asking them how much money was in their coffers, where they actually originated from. They only have a post office box. How much money was paid in salaries? Many, many questions about their authenticity. They would not provide any answers. So I'm here today to ask, how did this board vet that organization? What did you do to ascertain how much money they have, where it's going, where they're physically located? What did you do? How did you vet it? Did you legally establish? We don't know whether they're not-for-profit, non-profit, limited liability. They're going to segue into some kind of a corporate thing so that they can maintain the pool. What was done legally to ascertain the status of this organization before a $4 million grant of land was proffered to them? Can anybody answer that?
Francis, this is not a time for questioning and answering with the board. I will tell you this, though, the resolution that is in front of us is not to authorize me to sign a use agreement with Star. It's just examining this piece of property and its suitability for an aquatic center.
I understand.
Be it with this group or some other group, that is all. So what you're saying, obviously that due diligence would come at a later date should we progress things with the Star Foundation, but that is not part of what's in front of the board today.
Of course, it's part of what's in front of the board. You're putting your ducks in a row. They've had meetings with you. They've had meetings with the village, which they mischaracterize as being in favor of their pool. You know, the public is not stupid. We've been here for years. We've been here before you were here. And I'm asking you why, when you set this thing in motion, and all of you are on record as being so in favor of it, what did you do in terms of establishing the authenticity of this organization? Just because they were teachers and people know them and things like that, they would not, could not, did not provide a single answer to a question that was posed to them. We don't know how much they give it out in salaries. We don't know anything. We're coming to you to ask, did you look into any of that? Yes, thank you.
Already answered your question.
Thank you for not answering the same as the association.
I've already answered.
You have not answered.
It's not true. Okay, Laura McLaughlin. Laura McLaughlin? Not present? Okay, let's continue on. Dieter van Lieschten? Dieter?
Remember me?
Yes. Am I getting better at the name?
No, it's getting better. I'm still reacting.
20, 30 more times, we'll get it
Lieschten?
down. All right.
Lieschten.
My name is Dieter von Leesten. I've been a resident of Southampton since 1989. I was a victim of Tropical Storm Isaias as a tree on our property crashed on the electric connector line from the street to the house. As we were the only house on our street affected, a repair crew from PSEG came only 7 days later. By chance, an inspector came by 3 days after the storm hit. I had alerted PSEG on August 4 in writing that we had a live wire across our property, and the inspector confirmed the fact. From that day on, until the damage was finally taken care of, we had a 24-hour guard in front of our house. This kind of slow service is unacceptable. We could have had serious injuries. Whether or not my story is an example of mismanagement will be revealed, I understand, through an ongoing audit. If the governor signs this legislation, the Public Service Commission will have the ability to order LIPA to make the necessary changes to correct this mismanagement and fine or revoke their license to operate if appropriate. Neither the town's elected officials nor its constituents like me should be forced into the position of negotiating with LIPA PSEG for their cooperation. As I see it, the PSC has both the expertise and the resources to do that on our behalf. It is for that reason that I applaud Assemblyman Thiel and thank him for introducing this legislation and the town board for supporting it through Councilman Bouvier's memorization resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dieter.
All right, thank you, Dieter. Lynn Arthur, you're next.
Hi there. My name is Lynn Arthur. I live in North Sea, and I'm a volunteer on several town committees, one of which is the Sustainable Southampton Green Advisory Committee, where I am Energy Chair. I'm here today to support Councilman Bouvier's memorializing resolution. Over the last 5 years, we on the committee have discussed several examples of mismanagement and bad decision-making resulting from the fact that LIPA is self-regulating. The monster polls, the overstatement of South Fork capacity requirements, the carbon-based emergency generators being deployed by South Fork Peak Savers, the list goes on. But the most significant impact to a broader number of residents of Southampton, in my opinion, are the three we offer you today. Dieter's comments, also including mismanagement of the virtual benefits assessment detailed in this letter from the Watermill CAC, which I will give to Sunday, and the last obstacle in our path to launching a community choice aggregation program in Southampton. Many of you know I've been playing a leadership role supporting Councilman Bouvier in bringing a CCA program to benefit Southampton residents with lower cost of electricity and increasing the amount of renewables in our electricity supply. NYSERDA says CCA is the single most significant action a municipality can execute to combat climate change, and by switching the entire town over to renewables in a single action. We have but one obstacle in our path, an obstacle which has been reported in the Southampton press as the poison pill, LIPA's current tariff structure. The LIPA CCA tariff is currently obstructing our town CCA program. It has not undergone a robust regulatory review in over a decade, and yet it is apparently based, at least in part, on contracts LIPA signed with their own power plants perhaps over 20 years ago. Under current law, when mismanagement is detected, LIPA doesn't have to follow the recommendations or policies of local governments, like our desire to achieve the governor's mandate of 100% of our electricity from renewables by 2040. Under current law, and unique to Long Island, the town or any advisory group is left in the position of negotiating directly with LIPA. The PSC, Public Service Commission, has the skills and resources to do this effectively. They, however, lack the authority to force compliance. This law is a good and important measure for Long Islanders. To paraphrase Assemblyman Thiel, it shines a light on LIPA's lack of accountability, lack of transparency, and lack of oversight. And I will also add, it also will bring LIPA in line with how electric utilities across the rest of New York State operates. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I hope each of you votes in favor of supporting this resolution later on today's agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. All right, Carol McCarville. Carol McCarville.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol McCarville. I'm from Hampton Bays. I'm going to talk about two things. First, I'm going to hand up to the board a letter that I'd like to be included in the record. And it's simply a quote from Ms. DiVincenzo, the head of the Star Corporation. At the CAC meeting, which Mr. Schiavone, I think, was present at, on October 6th, the head of the Star Corporation said, and I'm quoting, "As soon as the construction is completed by Star as a nonprofit, Star is going to change into a limited liability corporation." So that's a for-profit regular business corporation. And she said, "We're going to change into a limited liability, quote, so Star can continue to raise money." That would mean that we're going to have, if this goes through, a for-profit corporation on that location. In addition, I'm handing up, which some of you already have, the Star's pie chart as to how they plan to find money to maintain this place. Memberships, 28%. Community support, whatever that is.
You don't have your mask on when you're
Oh, I'm
going towards
sorry.
them.
Community support. Is that money from the town? I think so.
You just have one copy. This for me?
Yeah, for the record. So, clearly, this is going to be a for-profit, membership-paid organization. And you'll notice on this pie chart, she also anticipates concessions and retail
Ma'am, we can't hear you for the television unless you're in front of the
Concessions
mic.
as retail is going to be a source of this for-profit corporation. So although Phil doesn't know what the ownership is going to be, Ms. DiVincenzo has told us. Secondly, I have asked the town board in a letter, I don't know if you got it, asking for STAR to provide its IRS filings as a non-for-profit corporation, which are open for public disclosure. Did the board get any of that from STAR? STAR has told me that the board has not requested their IRS filings, and that would be their statements as to what they're doing to maintain their status as a not-for-profit, where their money is coming from, who their donors are, and their expenses. So the board has not requested that, and apparently it wasn't sent to the board at my request. I hope those IRS filings would be here today. So at this point, you are anticipating, it's clear, STAR being involved, but at this point, there's really no record that they are a in good standing corporation, not-for-profit, and of course they're going to be a profit corporation. I don't know how we're going to have a profit corporation on CPF lands. In addition, everyone is leaving out that if the town continues to maintain this property, the town is always going to be liable for what goes on the land. I'm an attorney, and I can tell you that negligence, accidents, anything is always going to be a liability for the town. STAR will not project who's going to pay insurance, who's going to be responsible. But no matter what, so long as that place is on town property, the town is liable. So, and as Ms. Genovese said, STAR, when they come to their presentations, they give no information as to prices. Ms. DiVincenzo will say, well, I don't answer that now. I have to rely on the advice of my pool advisory companies.
30 seconds.
She says that they got a $600,000 donation, but won't say who it's from. Was that donation from the pool company who she is taking advice from? So in short, I think it would be nice to have a pool, but I don't think we need a private for-profit enterprise, which, by the way, is quite likely to fail, and then what will happen? The town will be stuck with a half-built hole in the ground, literally, on town property, and no one is discussing what will happen in the event that STAR falls apart. So I think that before the town considers conveying land or any use to STAR Corporation, it behooves the town board to find out, is STAR even a non-profit corporation in good standing? I think there are grave questions about this, and nobody has asked it. And there's no point in waiting till you appoint STAR as a building entity. We should be knowing these things now before the board even considers conveying land to STAR for building a pool. Do I have any more time?
Your time is up. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but yeah, I called
Thank
30
you.
seconds a while ago.
Elizabeth Shearer is next. Is Elizabeth here? All right, how about Elizabeth Lesnack? Elizabeth Lesnack? Okay, they're on the list. So let me go off the list now. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard who has not spoken? Anybody in the audience who would like to speak on this issue? Or any issue? This open portion? No, hold on, Francis. Anyone who has not spoken who wishes to be heard? Okay, Francis, a very short second round.
I just want to say that on all of the usual websites that are provided for public records, where a corporation or whatever an entity like STAR is supposed to be, there are filings and the public can see their IRS statements. I mean, there is nothing that has been, we've looked, we've tried to research it. It's not the most thorough thing, but there is nothing online to give us this information. For instance, we got a lot of it online about the Full Gospel. That is online. Their salaries, their expenditures, their attestations of whether they're a nonprofit. There is nothing for STAR. And I think by ignoring this, what we're bringing to you today, you're putting the town in jeopardy.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else who has not spoken who wishes to be heard in public portion? Going once, twice, 3 times. Motion to close public portion.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on in the agenda, we will go to resolutions. Oh, look, all right, so before we do resolutions, let me make a motion to walk on one additional resolution. This is ID 34928, retaining Campolo, Middleton, and McCormick LLP as it relates to litigation filed against the town of Southampton involving River Rock Structured Capital LLC. I'll need a second to walk it on.
Second?
Second by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that will, that was all 5 of us, so that will be added to the agenda. We'll take that up at the end. Okay, so starting with Resolution 231 of 2020, changes the target area of parcel and amends the CPF Management and Stewardship Plan. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second on the motion. So this is the former IGHL parcel, the one we've been talking about as possibly an aquatic center. We've held a number of public hearings. We've left the record open. We heard testimony today. Even today's testimony seems to was primarily in favor of this. There was a few who, I'm not sure, they were concerned more about the entity that might manage or build and manage the facility if it gets to that point. But this property was acquired for recreation purposes. Could easily have been an outdoor pool. This would be a covered or indoor pool. Could be tennis, could be soccer, could be basketball, could be illuminated, could be a million forms of active recreation. And swimming is it's part of who we are in Southampton. We're surrounded by water. We've got ocean and bays and lakes and ponds. And I think it's really critical that we provide a place for kids to learn how to swim safely. I think it's a place for our lifeguards to train. Swimming is great exercise, cardiovascular exercise, particularly for elderly people. It amazes me that we really don't have an indoor pool. We have now, I guess the college has one, and I was involved with that at Suffolk Community College in the far western portion of the town, but it's limited in terms of public access. The YMCA in East Hampton, it's run by a not-for-profit, it's owned by the town. I haven't seen any traffic problems from that facility, and that's also got a youth center, it's got a fitness facility and other things there too. It's a great facility, and people love it. It's part of that East Hampton community. This location, to me, is very central. If you look at where those 2 pools are, the one at the western at the Suffolk County Community College Eastern Campus and the YMCA in East Hampton, this is right smack in the middle. It's going to be accessible to the town, all the residents of the town of Southampton. I think it'll be primarily used by those closest to it, North Sea and Tuckahoe and Southampton Village and Hampton Bays. I think the biggest challenge here is going to be raising the money, because we have said that we're not going to use taxpayer money to build the thing. So that's a big challenge. It's probably going to require $20 million in private funds. But the residents will be the beneficiaries of that generous donations, those generous donations. So I think we should move forward. Again, I don't technically think this is even necessary, this resolution. I think you can do it now. But I think in the interest of full disclosure and transparency, I think to have the public hearing, to have this process and say, yes, we think an indoor aquatics facility is appropriate at this location. Now, I know from some of the testimony, people are concerned about traffic. I know on Hubbard, they're concerned in that community there, Southampton Commons. I know there's concerns about the traffic light there. So there are issues we're going to have to continue to discuss and resolve and figure out the scale of the operation and address, mitigate any of the concerns if we get to that point. I think that's, part of the planning process. Important parts. I don't want to dismiss any of that, including vetting any organization that we might allow to construct and operate a pool at this location to make sure they have the wherewithal, to make sure they have the professional expertise, to make sure they have the financial commitments to carry this out, because we don't want to end up in a situation with a half-built building. So I think doing our due diligence is important, but that is not what's in front of us today. What's in front of us today is simply whether this piece of property is suitable for this use. And I can tell you, having worked on negotiating the acquisition of this property, it was after the Tuckahoe Center supermarket had been proposed. There was concern about the supermarket use and the high frequency of customers, particularly in the afternoons, people on their way back home after work, heading westbound, where most of the traffic is going at 5 o'clock, having to cross the highway, go shopping, and then get back on the highway, and having to make that left. There was a lot of concern. When this piece of property came up for sale, I realized that the town acquiring it, the supermarket idea would be, because remember, we didn't deny the supermarket. It was withdrawn. This would basically render it moot. You wouldn't have the land to build the supermarket. So I thought, acquiring it would be a good thing, and we could put it to some future use that would benefit the community, including active recreation. That was certainly contemplated at the time. And that's why when we acquired it, we specifically said for recreational purposes, not passive recreational purposes. So I think, having heard, and I've received so many emails, I want to say at least, like 80 or 90 emails on this, overwhelmingly positive. There was a handful that were against it, but overwhelmingly the community is supporting this. And you've heard here at these public hearings, lots of people come out, former congressmen, people who have been very active in the community. Richard Wingfield today, who was my son's tennis coach, who is very active at Southampton High School and the school system in terms of helping kids develop socially and academically, and has done tremendous amount for the youth of our community, saying that this is overdue, this is a positive thing and should happen. So. With that, I'm going to support this. It is with the understanding that this isn't the last conversation about it. I think the biggest hurdle will be identifying the donors to make this a reality. I have been involved with other projects like this where they have not been able to secure those kinds of donations. That's the biggest hurdle that they face. But I am optimistic that this community, which is so philanthropic, trying to raise $300 million, roughly, $250, $300 million for a new hospital. What other community could you do that in? And that new hospital will benefit everybody. Everybody, when you call 911 for that ambulance, that's the hospital you go to. It'll be a state-of-the-art hospital, not built by taxpayer dollars, but by the generosity of this community. So this could be like that, a amazing asset for the community, built by the generosity of those who could most afford it. So I want to enable that to happen. I want to take the step forward to, it may be many years, several years before we see the pool constructed or a pool constructed. Hopefully, we get to that point. But I think today is that first step to making it a reality. So I support this. And we had a second? Yes, we did, because we're
Yes, you did.
on the motion.
Second.
Okay, so does anybody else want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I do. And you've covered all the points that I want to point, but I just want to stress that what's in front of us right now is whether this piece of property under CPF law, under CPF statute, is acceptable to use. And we've gotten a lot of feedback, one from the originator of the law itself, and from other people who understand this certainly better than I do. That's all we're looking at, and whether or not there's an entity that will be able to fulfill that requirement and want to build a pool and have, as you said, the wherewithal to do that is not what is in front of us now. I certainly hope the Star is able to do it, and again, has the ability and the financial resources to do it. All that kind of thing happens after the fact that there's a determination of a space to where you're going to put this. And I support it wholeheartedly for all the reasons that people have talked about. And clearly, the due diligence is necessary, and you understand that. And there's been correspondence about some of your status and things already with the town. And that's the process that you go through. Next is a whole another set of public hearings. If you get to that point where you're starting to build and you have to go through review and go through planning, go through a whole bunch of other stuff. So just with the public notification, I wanted to hopefully clarify that, not muddy what you had said, but I categorically support this, and will do what I can to help it happen. Thank you.
Anyone else on the motion? And remember, we still have Red Creek we haven't taken off the table. So it really actually this will provide this as a possible site. Red Creek remains out there as a possible site. If Star is going to, be the entity building a swimming pool, they can pick whichever site is, the best for them.
And I'm sorry, I should say one thing that was in my head, that I will hold you if you happen to be the group that does it to our sustainable goals in the town of Southampton. I think it's absolutely
In terms of
critical.
energy efficiency.
Yeah. And everything involved that we've had some discussions about already.
Tommy John, did you want to say something?
I do.
Yeah, I thought so.
I would like to echo a lot of things that were said by Councilman Bouvier and Supervisor Schneiderman. You covered this quite well. What's in front of us here is a change of target area of parcel to amend the CPF management and stewardship plan only. You all came before us in July 2nd. It has been on our Channel 22, CTV, numerous times. It really has been out to the community, and I want to appreciate the town for doing this. This is a democratic process. You have been here many times, and it is now October, and I'm glad that we are going to be putting this to a vote, because swimming is important here in the town of Southampton. Just about any direction you go, you're going to hit water. And I can remember as a child being here, we swam 3 months out of the year, really, effectively. And I don't think that's enough time for young people to learn how to swim. You have to learn how to, at an early age, to do this. And so it is part of us, swimming. It is part of our culture, our community, and having a private-public partnership is not new here. We've done this before. And as far as liability is concerned, any organization in the town of Southampton, Counselor, they will be required to have liability insurance. I mean, we know swimming pools. We know how they operate. We know their benefits to the community, as well as, the potential accidents and liability. So these things will be covered. I want to thank the STAR organization for setting us their 501(c) information, including your employee identification number. Some things that I want to illuminate is that a swimming pool was part of the County Road 39 plan. This particular location is less than 1,200 feet from the location that was articulated and enumerated in the County Road 39 plan for an aquatic center. And to me, it is the right place. It is right smack in the middle of the town. I would have supported Hampton Bays as well, because that too is in the center, but with the YMCA in East Hampton and the county facility in Northampton, it's right in the middle. And I know people that go to the Y. My kids went to the Y with their schools, so to learn how to swim. The schools were sending them to East Hampton to learn how to swim. So on behalf of those school programs and our first responders and our lifeguards and our children, I urge us to move forward with this. And this is just the beginning. There will be many, many public opportunities for people in the area as well as around the area. And, the supervisor was right. We have heard a lot on this particular application. Not just members of the community as a whole, but members of the community in the area where this is being proposed. So that's important to me, and I want to thank you all for bringing this to us and having the will and the energy to work on this and, give it to the people of the town of Southampton. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Lofstad?
Thank you. So I don't want to rehash, I'll be quick. I want to state that I know that some in the community do have some valid concerns, but again, this resolution today is just to clarify what sort of recreation can be allowed on that property, and that's it. I'm done.
And I know you had attended that meeting with
Yeah.
STAR and the CAC, which that was one of the reasons why we had left the record open, but we already went on the record with the results from that meeting.
Yes, yep. And so thank you guys for being patient and allowing that to happen.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it was unanimous. That went swimmingly, I'd say.
No, go raise some money.
You've been waiting to say that.
Not really. John, John usually, whenever I make a pun, John responds with another, so.
What did I miss? I didn't hear it.
Jeez.
I missed it.
Said it
I
went
missed enough.
swimmingly, so
Jay
you're
just being fluid.
supposed to dive
Will
in
you
with
stop
some.
drowning us with this stuff?
Make a splash with a different pun. Okay.
All right, back to work.
All right.
Town Board Resolution 812 of 2020 authorized the parking lot paving at Long Beach using the Suffolk County contract with Rosemar Contracting Incorporated.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-813 to authorize a parking lot paving/patch in Lot 24 at Jackson Avenue using Suffolk County contract with Rosemar Contracting Incorporated.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 814 of 2020, authorize professional services agreement for network upgrade and authorize purchase of associated hardware from CCSI Incorporated and SHI Incorporated.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 815 of 2020 to authorize the purchase of computers using Sourcewell contract.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 816 of 2020 authorized the purchase of guide rails, furnish and install from Suffolk County contract.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All
I
in
was
favor?
still staring at guardrails versus guide rails.
I think it's 2 words.
All
Looked
in
it up.
favor?
2 words.
Aye,
Aye.
approved. 817, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone, authorized purchase of 2021 Chevy Tahoe LS four-wheel drive from New York State OGS contract with Joe Basil Chevrolet Incorporated.
Second.
I guess the 2021 Tahoe is already out, is that what that is? Even though it's 2020 this year?
By now, yeah.
We're going to buy the 2021 Tahoe? Okay, well,
It's going to take a while.
it may take a while. Okay, so,
The tires are 2020 though.
well, it's getting toward the end of 2020. The 21 is probably already out. All right, so second by Councilman Scrivoni, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 2020-818, authorized supervisor to sign contract extension for property cleanup to bring properties back into compliance with Rockmore Contracting Corporation.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-819 authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract amendment for Waste Zero to supply and distribute garbage bags.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 820 of 2020, authorize supervisor to sign contract extension for liquid propane gas with Starlight Propane Gas Corporation.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. 821, co-sponsored with Councilman Bouvier, authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract extension for window decals and permits with Dry Stick Decal Corporation.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 822 of 2020 authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract extension with Mercury Marine for Mercury Marine parts.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 823 of 2020 authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract extension for printing and mailing of Hampton Bays Water District bills with Questmark Information Management Incorporated.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 824, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract extension for replacement parts for Chevrolet, General Motors, and Eagle Chevrolet, with Eagle Chevrolet Incorporated.
Second.
Second by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 825 of 2020 authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract extension for district-wide well and pump maintenance and repair at the Hampton Bays Water District with Delta Well and Pump Company Incorporated.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 826 of 2020, co-sponsored by all the board members, authorizes supervisor to sign DPP with Toshiba and for copy machines from Eastern Suffolk BOCES contract.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 827 of 2020, authorize the supervisor to execute a 2021 support agreement for MRI Software LLC, formerly known as Happy Software, Inc., for Town of Southampton Housing Authority for the administration of the Southampton Town Housing Authority's Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 828 of 2020, authorizes the supervisor to sign a 2021 agreement with Munistat Services, Inc.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Is
approved.
that the same as the walk-on?
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
John, you next.
Town Board Resolution 2020-829 to award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for closed top-shelf self-contained ejector trailer with hydraulic roof opening.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 830 of 2020, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract for irrigation maintenance and repair with Burn & Son Irrigation Incorporated.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-831 to award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for private or municipal markets for the disposal and recycling services for mixed paper and corrugated cardboard.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 832, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Dominion Construction Corporation for the Southampton Animal Shelter rooftop access ladder.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 833, co-sponsored with Councilman Bouvier, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Paul Singer Design for educational signage for the Peconic Estuary Committee.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 834, authorize supervisor to sign any and all documents with New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for Brownfield Cleanup Program.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Okay, this is for you, Jay. Town Board Resolution 2020-835 is a 2020 notice to bidders for North Sea Park Pickleball Court.
I'll second. All in favor?
Co-sponsored with the supervisor.
That's fine. All right, I seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-836, accept donation from Hampton Bays Schools for Cozy Dome Playground Structure for Foster Avenue Park, Hampton Bays.
Second.
That was really
Seconded by
good.
Councilman Martell. And on the motion, thank you. Thank you to the Hampton Bays
Senior class of
graduating senior
2020.
class. It
Yep.
really, it's a great thing, you know, after the tragic loss of that playground at Foster Avenue Park. The town committed to rebuild the facility like it was, but it's going to be even better than it was because it's got an addition that's been paid for by the graduating seniors. Instead of a prom or spending it on something just for them, they wanted to give to the future seniors of Hampton Bays.
Due to COVID, a lot of their activities were canceled, and they decided to do something very gracious and donated money for the Cozy Dome.
That's awesome.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so there was a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. All right, 837 amends the 2020 budget for various departments,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 838 amends the 20 through 24 capital budget for network infrastructure,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-839, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to authorize the disbursement from Landmarks Maintenance Fund through the Landmarks Maintenance Award Program for repair and maintenance of the town landmark Josiah Foster House, located at 566 Montauk Highway in East Quogue.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Scavone.
That's- okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I say the wrong, it was Councilman Scavone, right?
Yeah.
Who seconded?
Yep.
Yes, I'm sorry.
all right.
And it was approved. 840 of 2020, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, recalls and amends Town Board Resolution Number 2020-675, creating and appointing the Community Law Enforcement Review Committee. It's just adding Emily Falkowski from the Legal Aid Society. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 841. Authorize the town attorney to commence legal action to recover for the loss of damage to property.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 842 of 2020, authorize the town attorney to reimburse NYMER the deductibles for the matter of Egan versus Town.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. The 843 of 2020 accepts donation as it relates to the North Sea Beach Colony Beach Erosion Control District.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. This accepts a $1,500 donation from Peter Hammer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 844 of 2020 accepts donation from Cousins Paintball for the town's police department explorers.
Second.
Second by Councilman Scavone. This is a donation of 10 passes worth a total of $600 for the town police explorers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-845, a memorializing resolution to in support of Assembly Bill A.08936 by Assemblyman Thiel and Senate Bill by Jim Gogren, Senator Gogren, Senate Bill S.06868 as it relates to the Public Service Commission's, the PSC, authority to implement and enforce audit recommendations. And on the motion, I just want to thank the board again. And just to clarify, LIPA is the only power authority in the state of New York that does not have oversight by the PSC. And this legislation hopes to correct that. It's out of committee, it's sitting in front of, will be sitting in front of the governor soon. But I think it's actually extremely important legislation to have, being as we're the only ones here who don't get the benefit of PSC oversight on our power authority. So thank you all for support of the bill, of the resolution.
Thank you, Councilman Bouvier. And I want to thank Assemblyman Thiel for introducing the bill. These are two additions to public authority, New York State Public Authority law, which would certainly require audits, and the Senate passed it, so it's well on its way. That's good.
Was there a second?
No. Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. John, thank you for bringing this forward, and of course, support. Thank you to Assemblyman Thiel for sponsoring the legislation. I'm going to support this as well. And I think everybody's co-sponsoring it.
Yep.
All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 846 of 2020, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an application with the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, together with Nancy and David Lopez, for a subdivision lot line modification.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, 847 of 2020, accepts retirement of Diane Van Slyke, Principal Assessment Clerk in the Tax Receiver's Office.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Congratulations to Diane, and thank you for your service to the town. Moving on to 848 of 2020, accepts retirement of John Washabaugh, Labor Crew Leader in Highway.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations to John. Best of luck in retirement. Thank you for your service. Next one is 849 of 2020, appoints Matthew Curti to Maintenance Mechanic 1 position in Parks.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations to Matthew.
A much-needed vacancy to fill, too, in Park, so really glad.
850 of 2020, appoints Thomas McCaffrey to Maintenance Mechanic 2 position in Parks Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations to Thomas. 851 of 2020, it's a notice of public hearing regarding property maintenance conditions at 215 Long Neck Boulevard in Flanders.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020, co-sponsored with Supervisor Schneiderman and Lofstad, Councilwoman Lofstad, a notice of public hearing for the proposed recipients of the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 853, co-sponsored by Councilman Bouvier, is a notice of public hearing on the acquisition of interest in lands of Peconic Land Trust as contract vendee in Eastport, and amends the CPF management and sewage plan to include that property.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board, okay, so settle in.
Yeah, exactly.
Take over the meeting now.
You got a few here.
Town Board Resolution 2020-854, a notice of public hearing to accept a deed of residual fee from Blair K. Gaza for property being maintained as open space located at East Quogue pursuant to Southampton Town Code 244-4, obtaining development rights certificate in Section 247, General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-855, a notice of public hearing to accept a deed of residual fee from Blair K. Gaza for property to be maintained as open space located in West Hampton pursuant to Southampton Town Code 244-4, obtaining development rights certificate, and Section 247, General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-856, a notice of public hearing to accept a deed of residual fee from Rosemary Grau et al. For properties to be maintained as open space located at West Hampton pursuant to Southampton Town Code 244-4, obtaining development rights certificate, and Section 247, General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-857, a notice of public hearing to accept a quitclaim deed from Rosemary Grau et al. For properties to be maintained as open space located at West Hampton pursuant to Section 247 General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-858, a notice of public hearing to accept a deed of residual fee from Joseph F. Gaza for property to be maintained as open space located at North Sea pursuant to Southampton Town Code 244-4, obtaining development rights certificate, and Section 247 General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-859, notice of public hearing to accept a TDR grant of conservation easement from Blair K. Gaza for property to be maintained as open space located at West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-329-1-4.1, pursuant to Southampton Town Code 244-4, obtaining a development rights certificate, and Section 247 General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
And as we continue, notice of public hearing to continue the acceptance of a grant of conservation easement in connection with the application of Southampton Country Day Camp in North Sea.
Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-861, a notice of public hearing to consider the grant of a conservation easement in connection with the subdivision map of Mohawk Halsey LLC in Watermill.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
I think
Approved.
that's it.
All right. 862 of 2020, notice public hearing for 2021 fire protection contracts.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 863 of 2020, notice of public hearing on the acquisition of lands of Edwards et al., of Bridgehampton, and amends the CPF management and stewardship plan to include that property.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Oh, I thought I was done.
You're back.
He's back. Town Board Resolution 2020-864, accept the grant of conservation easement from Big Sky LLC for property to be maintained as open space, and this is the one we heard today. Maintained as open space located at North Sea pursuant to Southampton Town Code 244-4, obtaining development right certificate and Section 247 General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 34792 is warrant number 19, capital number 19, CPF number 19, and payroll liability.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 34793 authorizes the supervisor to sign amendment to agreement with Munistat Services, Inc.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. This, we said, was different than the other resolution you were asking about?
The resolution on the agenda is for the 2021 agreement with them. This is the amendment, as the comptroller explains it, to pay for the bond sale that occurred earlier this year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Janice, for that. All right, so was there a second?
I
Councilman
second it.
Scavone.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. And there was one other, here it is. This is ID 34928. This is to retain Campola, Middleton, and McCormick LLP as it relates to litigation filed against the town of Southampton involving River Rock Structured Capital LLC.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Abstain. I'm going to abstain from that.
Okay,
You got an abstention here.
was it?
One abstention.
Oh, you abstained.
I did.
Did you recuse or
Abstain, just from the vote.
from the vote? Okay. So would the clerk note Councilman Scavone's abstention?
Got it.
Okay. So is there any other business? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Well, do I need a second first? Sorry. Oh, such a hurry to go. Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. Okay, now, on the motion to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.